We're gonna go into the pain that true fathers feel and the experiences that we've had in just trying to be fathers to our kids. And we're gonna give the floor to Gabe so he can go ahead and give his perspective and as well as his experience. It's on you, bro.
Yeah. Every time I watch that take, I know he was talking about child support, but for me, in my experience, it's never been child support. I do pay my child support. Never had an issue with paying child support, but it's been um, my. So I got married young while I was in the military, and I always wanted a son, and God God granted my wish and gave me my son, Gabriel the second. And but his mother and I split up before he was even 1 years old. And from the onset of the split up leading to divorce, I was always denied seeing him. Um, and it's so I keep paying my child support. I go to court, and the last time I went to court, I think Gabe was well, not the last time I got another custody agreement, Gabe was about 8 years old. So from one, it was like I have weekends, and it will be moments where it'll be my weekend. I will show up and she won't be there with Gabe. And then I call her. My son was like 2, 3. She's like, he's busy. And so it was frustrating. And many of nights I cried because it was just like I felt helpless. There was nothing I could do. And I have uncles, like, don't stress yourself out over this. My mom, she was there from the beginning, and she can attest to everything I'm saying. Um, so when he was 8, I went to court with my aunt in New Jersey, and the judge gave me a good, because we're living in the same area in Virginia. So the judge gave me a good custody agreement where I could pick up my son on Thursday and drop him off at school on Monday every other weekend. But even with that, my ex will refuse when it's my time to pick him up. And I remember the story. It was my weekend, and I was on my way to taking my son, and she threatened to call the cops. On the holiday weekend, the reason I went back to court was because we had Friday to Sunday and was on Memorial Day weekend. And my son Gabriel still tells me this. And I was like, hey, I'll keep him until Monday. It's a holiday. And her mom and her called the cops on me. So I had the sheriff calling me saying, if you don't bring your son now, you're going to go to jail. And it's been the story of my life with me fighting. So even though I have the custody agreement, my ex does whatever she wants. So, um, 2019, God told me to let it go. And I don't know what you want me to share, but he told me to let it go. I'm not going to disclose what exactly he said to me, but he told me to let it go. And now Gabe is 14 years old, where it's a point where he needs me. And I've been subjected to 1 hour brunches with my son. That's all I get. I've tried the emails with where he's going to be. Nothing works. So the last show, before we ended, we started talking. I said, okay, I'm a father that going through all this pain. I've cried, did everything I can. And I still being denied having a good relationship with my father, with my son. What I've been doing is I send him a text every day. So I send him scripture every morning, and I talk to him, try to give him good father advice. I give glory to God that my son and I had a bond from the time he was little. So we still have that bond. But, for me, I really would like to sow more into my son, but I'm being denied. Like I said, he's 14. And what we ended the last show was, okay, I've been denied all these years I've been fighting. He's about to turn 15 in September and 16. God forbid if the situation changes and now Gabriel is acting up. Now it's my turn to now, because that's what happens a lot in this country. Now you got to go pick up your son. Now you got to do it. And I think that is not fair. I'm not going to change it. I will be in my son's life, but I'm not going to allow him to come now live with me full time when I've been denied all the right. And now I'm remarried. I have a wife, so she got to come into the conclusion as well. I'm not saying I'm not. If that happens, I'm not going to be involved in my son's life. I will say, hey, if now you're willing for me to sow into him, I will do that. But it's a testament of my pain that I've been going through, and everybody that knows me know that's my struggle. I don't know what else to do legally, right? I do have a custody agreement that the state or no one is enforcing. I'm still not allowed to see my son. He's 14, 15. I don't know what else to do, you know? So what I do is I pray for my son. I mention the text messages every day. I go to his basketball game or whatever event I can go to. And I know one day God going to bless my wife and I with a child, and he will give me the opportunity to be the father I always wanted to be in my son's life. But you know, like the narrative is like, it's not a lot of good fathers, but it's a lot of men like me that it's not about the money. It's never about the money. It's just we want to be in our, because there is value. You know, Chancey just went through the statistics. There is value having a man in a kid's life. I just got a call from a family member yesterday for me to talk to my nephew. His father is not here. And when I talk to him versus what his mom was talking, it's like two different boys. And I even took it upon myself. That's not my son, that's my nephew. He's like a son. I'm like, you know what, son? I will call you every week and so into you. So there is a value of a man being in their father, in their son's life. And I just want the takeaway to know that there's a cause and effect. And when I say that, the last show, that's what Markeith mentioned. Go back and watch it. The narrative have to change. You can't come to us when a kid having problem and now want us to be a father. Let us be fathers from the beginning. Let's co-parent together. It's not about the money. It's about the value of a father, especially in a boy's life. That's all I have.
So real quick, because we still got a few minutes for your segment. I wanna ask, let's explain this pain, man. Like explain this pain. How do you feel? What you know? What goes through your mind, and what are you thinking? And I know these are a whole lot of loaded questions, but as I go, just think about it. And what is the relationship? How was your relationship with him being younger, opposed to it being now? Like
Yeah.
I know
So
that
the
was a whole
pain,
lot, but
no, you're right. The pain simply, Markeith, Chancey, and everyone else is I feel disrespected. You know, I feel like what else can I do, right? So if to get my son, I get the third degree questions, and some Joe Blow comes and he can just pick him up. How do that? I'm God gave me the opportunity to make him with her, and I'm disrespected and shunned off. But anybody else want to take Gabe somewhere? It's sure. So it hurts. It hurts. It hurts to the core of me because that is my child. That's our child. That's my son. There's no reason at his age, at 14, I should get President Joe Biden letter to see my son. There's no reason. Yeah, it sounds funny, but that's what it comes down to. I just asked. My mom was here last weekend, so I'm not talking something that happened years ago. It's ongoing. Last weekend, I said, let me get Gabriel, because again, I'm subjected to brunches. I'm like, okay, let me get him for half a day so we can go to DC with his grandmother. It still didn't happen. It was like, you need Joe Biden's signature. Where are you going to take him? Here's the address. It never ends. So I know what God told me to leave it alone, because I have PTSD from my trauma from being a vet, and I have acute depression. So it really affects my wife, Nicole, glory to her. She sees the effect it has on me. If I don't, the pain is there, man. Is there every way. So, but luckily, Gabriel and I always had a bond. From the time he was born, I was the first person that took him. When he got circumcised, I was there. When she fought, I took him to get his first haircut. In every moment, whenever I'm around, whatever time was allocated, whatever time I can squeeze, I took advantage of it. So he and I have the same relationship. He respects me, and I'm so proud of him. With all of this, I mean, my son at brunch one time, we're talking just the other couple of weeks ago. He said, "Dad, I wish it was not the way it is, but it is what it is." That's a 14-year-old saying it is what it is. So I have culpability. I'll take responsibility, but I have to deal with the pain of the divorce. My ex is still, she needs healing because she knows I care for my son. If I did not care, she will give me Gabe. But because she knows that's where she can get me, she will continue to do it. And I was hoping, she has 2 other kids now. I was hoping that it would change at this point, but it has not. But the most important thing is I feel disrespected. And I don't want to sound vile, but I feel like a sperm donor. I paid my child support and that's it. And I've seen this happen countless. It happened to my father. It happened to my friends where the father was denied, but then God forbid if Gabe start acting up, now they want you to come in. I think the conversation needs to be had. No, we need to be involved from the beginning. So the most important thing, I feel so disrespected. Not like a man, not like a father.
Right. And that brings forth anger sometimes. That brings forth a lot of different emotions. Like you said, pain, crying, sadness, depression, all kinds of stuff because you're desiring, you so frustrated, you want to be there. You desire to be there. And there's no reason why you shouldn't be there. You know what I mean? So yeah, we thank you for sharing, man. And you're basically saying that your son really desired to spend time with you at the age he's in now because he's at the age where he can make that decision, but she takes that from him, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand that. All right, Chancey, talk to us, brother.
Yes, sir. Wow, man. Boy, Gabe, I'm so, bruh. I'm so sorry to hear you going through this, man. Unfortunately, there was so many of our good fathers who want to be involved have to deal with this, man. So switching gears a little bit, I'll be speaking about the weaponizing of parenting styles. So my daughter is currently 28 years old. Um, I was 21 when my daughter was born, 20 when she was conceived. I was in the military at the time. Her mom and I met in Germany. We were both in the military, stationed at the same place. So she got pregnant. We weren't. We were in a relationship, but we weren't. I wasn't trying to be married. I was, out there, you know, living my best life, so to speak. So I never even considered the discussion of how my daughter should be raised. Now, granted, I was in a relationship with her, so I knew how she was raised. I knew her upbringing, you know, background, whatnot was totally different from mine. I grew up in the church from as early as I can remember. She wasn't. So before I even go further into the story about this, it's so vital that for those of you all who don't have children right now and you're single and you're mingling and you're, living your best life or whatever, be very, 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 very mindful of who you choose to lay down and have children with. because if you aren't in a position that where you're ready to marry them, you know, and make them your wife, or make that your husband, you have no control over their household and how they run their house, how they run their home. If you're not with them, you're not together, so you don't get to control that. But if you're going to choose to have children together, you've got to have the conversation and be like-minded as it relates to how you're going to raise your children, how you want your children to be raised. That conversation needs to be had whether you're together or not. So that's where I failed. That's where me and my baby's mom failed. We never had that conversation. So here it is. My daughter's born in 1995. All right. I wasn't there. I was stationed somewhere else. She was stationed somewhere else, and I didn't make it to my daughter's birth. So I wasn't there. My daughter's born in 95. I get married in 99 to my current present day wife. So my daughter, who was 4 at the time, we were both stationed at the same place. When my daughter was, when I got married, my wife and I and my daughter's mom were all stationed at the same duty station. So I had my daughter a lot, mostly on the weekends, holidays. You know, I would always go to her school events, everything she had. I was present. Even though we weren't together, I was present for all my daughter's stuff. I was very present. What I quickly realized is that the two parenting styles, how they differed. And my daughter also realized it, because in my house, there was structure, there was organization, there was chores, there was bedtimes, we eating at a certain time, you know, you going to bed at a certain time, you know, TV going off at a certain time. All that stuff was in place. I'm in the military, I'm a soldier. And I'm thinking she's a soldier too, so she got these same things. I was so far from the truth. Absolutely not. So my daughter, who is now 28, back then, when me and her mother weren't together, there was no man in the house. It was just her and her mom. So my daughter's mom became her best friend. You know, it wasn't, you know, mom, daughter. It was we friends, we girls, you know, and that's how she raised my daughter. So when she came to my house, it was a 180, which my daughter wasn't used to. So her time at my house wasn't as enjoyable, because now she got to get in what she feeling with these chores. She got to go to bed at a certain time, all these things. She's like, man, this ain't cool over here. You know, for a kid, they like, this ain't it. So that was a struggle, you know. So here it is where I should be pouring in, you know, and being able to enjoy my daughter and all this stuff, because now, like Gabe said, I'm married now, so I got to make sure, you know, hey, my wife is, you know, because she's looking at me like it better not be no mistreatment. It better be, you gotta treat her the same way you treat these two, and treat these two the same way you treat her. So I had to balance all that out, you know. So it was a struggle, and I was wondering, like, why my daughter, you know, like, don't be want to come over and stuff, you know, like, man, what's going on? And I had to realize the rearing was different, and I didn't catch that till later on. So when we would have those conversations, her mom and I, and she would always, now when my daughter got in trouble, first one she called, because you want me to come in and be the disciplinarian. You know, you want me to hand out the punishments and the whoopings and all that. She don't want to do that part, but you want to call me to do it. So now, guess what? I'm being perceived as a bad guy now, because I'm called when it's time for it to go down. You want to call me. So I told her mom, I said, listen, I said, you got to reinforce the things that I'm doing when I get called in for discipline. You got to reinforce this. You got to do the same thing when I'm not here. You got to do this when it's just y'all. So it's reinforced. You don't have all these problems, because I didn't have the problems when she was with me. It was just, so you have to, and I don't know if I say that, but then I go back and look at some of them things. I think sometimes, when I say the weaponization of parenting styles, she knew that how I ran my household, and she knew that would cause my daughter not to want to come over, you know. So it was that game you playing, you know what I'm saying? We've got to come to the realization that when we bring kids into the world, it's about the kids. It ain't about us. Okay, you know, we didn't work out, you know, we can't do nothing about that now. We got to focus on the children and what's best for them at this point in the game. and that didn't happen. And so thank goodness, present day, now we went through that back and forth. We were stationed at a lot of the same places. A lot of times we weren't. So I didn't get my daughter as much when she wasn't stationed with me. But the times when she was, I had her all the time. But there was that constant tug of war and battle. But to Gabe's point, when my daughter turned, I want to say it was 15 or 16, because she was in the 11th grade, going into the 11th grade. It was so bad, her mom asked her to come live with me. She asked me to get her because she was out of control. She couldn't do nothing with her. She was taking the car, going and doing and being, without telling her mom, just out of control, smoking, all of that. So she's like, hey, what I need you to get her. I need you to get her. Okay, no problem. I bring my daughter to live with me for that particular year, sign up in school, get enrolled. Probably the worst year of my daughter's life, because boy, she got the business. But what that also did was it allowed my daughter to see how these different parenting styles had affected her. It allowed me to see it too, but it allowed my daughter to see that. So present day, she's 28 years old. My daughter and I have a amazing relationship. I am her eyes, I'm her hero, because she got a chance to see me for herself, and experience me for herself. But that's why, I just say to Gabe, man, be encouraged, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, there will come a time when they can't stop them. You know what I'm saying? From being with you, from engaging, from, all that's pouring into, they can't stop it. So keep your head up, brother. If God gave you the blessing to pull up and just allow him to shake and move things up how he needs to, man, because he has a plan for his life and yours. But man, yeah. So now, thank God, man, everything is good. Me and her mom are good too now. All that stuff is behind us, but we had to go through hell and high water, man. My daughter had to go through hell and high water because we're grown. We can handle it. But those children, man, is what matters. And I just thank God she's never, ain't in jail, nothing bad, has happened. But yeah, it was a challenge, man. But the children always lose in the end when we don't put them first. They lose.
So I got a question. So basically, you saying that she, for the most part, weaponized your parenting style to make it appear like what you were doing was wrong, and that was basically a a a, a way of punishing her. Sending her to your house was a way of punishing her. And then when she did go over there, correct me if I'm wrong. Even then, when she did go over there, she was also, you know what I'm saying, in agreement with her friend, was supposed to be her daughter, that what you were doing over there was too much anyway.
Right.
So it was basically helping to enforce what she already felt and thought, because that ain't what she agreed with, or what she how she was being raised over there.
That's right. And then, but then when she got out of line, out of hand, I'm the first person you called.
Right, right.
Bruh.
So I mean that's crazy to me. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the pain that you felt in the midst of all of that. Like, what was going through your mind? How was you really feeling? Um, or was it for you? It was just, you were trying to do the right thing, and it really didn't affect you that much. Because for everybody, it's different. So can you talk about that? Did you experience pain at all?
Oh, absolutely. I experienced pain because I knew the environment my boys was raised in, and I knew the importance of a two-parent home. I knew the importance of discipline and structure in a home because that's how I was raised. So I wanted my daughter to experience that, and I knew also the flip side of the absence of structure and discipline on a child, because I saw that all my life too, and my friends and my cousins and all those people who didn't have that in their home. So I didn't want that for my daughter. And my daughter went through a whole lot of stuff unnecessarily because of that. Because I feel like if she would have reinforced the things that I was doing and trying to establish, even though even though we weren't together, I feel like my daughter wouldn't have had to endure a lot of the things and the pain that she went through had her mom been on one accord with me when it came to raising her. So that was the painful part for me, is watching my daughter go through all this calamity because her mom wanted to be her friend as opposed to her parent.
Okay. Thanks for sharing, man. We got 15 minutes, which means that I only got, well, it say 7:44 over here. What time y'all got?
7:45.
45.
All right, so we got 15 minutes, and we got to include question and answer from everybody. But my boy's gonna be tripping if I don't say something and give you know what I'm saying, my
Yes, sir.
spiel or whatever. So even though I got 5 minutes, I got to do the rapid version just so y'all know out there. Cause in the background, once we end, they're gonna be giving me the bit like, why you don't never share it? You don't never do. So let me go ahead and do this real quick. So my daughter. My oldest daughter that I've experienced all the pain with, she is right here with me today. Thank God. We have recently been reconciling. Um, I give you real quick, give me a synopsis. Y'all give me a minute, start timing me. Give me a minute and a half or 2 minutes right now. Cause she gonna get 2 minutes too. All right, so long story short, me and her mom was high school sweethearts or whatever. We was engaged to be married. She was just when she had my daughter, she was a junior. I was a senior. I was just getting ready to graduate high school. I had scholarship to go play football and to run track because I was a star athlete in my little town. Um, and my daughter was born a few months before I graduated. I said that no, that's my mom said you can go to college. I take care of the baby. I say no, that's my responsibility. It's my baby because I grew up without a father. I knew what that felt like, and my kids, I was gonna make sure that I was present. I her mom graduated high school the following year. I was there doing the birth when she gave birth to my daughter. I helped name my daughter. When she was in school, I was working and I was taking care of my daughter. I had my daughter a lot. We co-parented well. I was at every doctor's appointment. I was doing all these things. Um, Her mom graduated in 2000 in 1998. I graduated in 1997. Mom graduated in 1998. When she left and went to school, my daughter lived with me. She stayed with me. She was a daddy's girl all the way up until she was 2 years old. Her mama then was nowhere. Her mama didn't pay child support. Her mama barely came to visit. Her mama didn't really call. It was just me and my baby girl. Baby girl came. I mean, she came one spring break. Took my daughter for the 2 weeks that she was on spring break. I was living with my mom at the time, but I was taking care of my daughter, right? With my mom helped every now and again. I was going to school full time, I was working full time, and I was taking care of my baby. It was me and her, right? So her mama came with no issues. She took my daughter. I'm thinking she just came and took her, bro. She wouldn't communicate with me or nothing. I'm calling trying to figure out what's going on. She wouldn't respond. Her mama wouldn't respond. And so on my birthday, I was depressed because I wanted to see her. And lo and behold, the city was so small. When I was depressed and just walking around, I went down to the park to shoot ball, and my daughter was right there. She ran into my arms. When she ran into my arms, basically, long story short, I said I was gonna take my daughter with me for that day, and like I ain't heard from her all day. You know what I'm saying? Basically, because you ain't got the right. She been living with me. I'm the custodian. I'm the guardian or whatever. She was like, you ain't taking my. I was like, you ain't taking my baby. She took her out my arm. I was like, you don't lost your mind. You better give me my baby. I'm going home. I stayed. I went home. I played with my daughter the whole time, all the way to night. We enjoyed ourselves. All of a sudden, a police officer comes to my door saying, give the daughter to her mom. Don't I was gonna go to jail for kidnapping. I'm like, hold on, she ain't been here. I've been taken care of. It don't matter, sir, because a father has no rights. So she took my daughter. From there, I was had to get on child support. Didn't have a problem with that, but the issue was me trying to get visitation and all these things, but I couldn't get the visitation, but I was going to get her. I ended up joining the military. I prayed God that I can be closer to her. Get in the military, they tell me my first duty station can go to Fort Stewart. My daughter lived in Savannah. I'm right there, so I'm good. But it wasn't that easy. As much as I possibly did, the mama was was telling me, basically giving me all kind of hell. And then it got even worse when I got married. And the more I tried, the more she told me it was my responsibility. She wasn't gonna help with anything. So she made my life a living hell. So my daughter is right here, and you can about her experience. How long was that? 2 minutes? See, y'all weren't even timing me, man. Here you go.
We're not
All
gonna
right,
time
baby.
you.
That,
You
that was
good?
that was that was 6 minutes,
Baby,
bro.
can we hear?
Y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would
All right. All
okay.
right, so real quick. So can you tell us your experience and what you thought me as far as me being your father? What was taught to you?
Okay, so my name is Alexis, and I am definitely my kid's child. You can see it all over the face.
No doubt.
No doubt.
um, but yeah, so to what he said, I honestly, like you said, we were reconciling our relationship or whatever. So that story that he just told, I only knew that or only learned of that a few months ago. Because I grew up thinking, um, that my dad just really wasn't like I knew my dad was in the military. I knew, what I'm saying, he was doing his thing or whatever, but he would get me like for summers and things like that. But it was just it was kind of told to me because I want to make sure, what I'm saying, I'm not throwing nobody under the bus. But it was perceived to me as your daddy only pay child support. Like that's it. You get what I'm saying? And so that's kind of when you were a kid, you the parent that you living with, you listen to your parents. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, well, shoot. And then what happened? Like one situation actually happened where it was like homecoming, and I needed something. Like I wanted to get my nails done or whatever, and I called to ask my dad. He wasn't able to do it. So on top of him not being able to do that, and my mama already telling me like all he do is pay child support. I'm like, oh well, he don't even, you know what I'm saying? All I did was ask this or whatever. So I'm hot. And I'm thinking like, yeah, for real, he don't want to do nothing. Like, what's going on? um, so and that actually had an effect on me when it came to the men or the boys that I chose to talk to. And I'm just not at a place. I'm 26 now. I'm just not at a place where I'm able to actually realize that. Um, I do need to add that I'm married. And so I was able to the Lord led me, I will say, to my husband and away from those type of men that I was attracted to when I was younger. But I realized I was coming from a hurt place. I was coming from a place of wanting attention from males
Wait,
because
so
I
you
didn't.
feel wait real quick. So you feel abandoned. You feel like I
Yeah,
abandoned you and
I feel
started my own family? That's something you
in a way.
said before.
Yeah, yeah, yes. And one thing about it, I knew. I told my mama all the time. I was a kid, but I said when I grow up, I said all my kids gonna be under the same roof. I told her I was like, I want to get married and I want all of my kids to be by my husband because I don't like this feeling of like my daddy is over there. You know what I'm saying? They're moving all around the world. They have these opportunities and things like that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not a part of that. I just have to go and visit. You know what I'm saying? And then my mom, she did get married, but that's not my dad. And he wasn't like that. He was there, for certain things or whatever, but it's not the same. It wasn't that father figure that I was really looking for.
Did your mom ever? Do you feel that your mom ever tried to weaponize? Because it was a lot of times when anytime you heard from me was when you got in trouble.
Yes,
She
that
made
happened
sure
a
you heard
lot.
from me then.
That happened a lot.
But when I was
Like,
reaching out, you didn't really know that I was really trying to reach out to you a lot of times, like I was,
right.
or the pain that I went through when I went to the courts to try to get partial custody, and then that was shut down. All
Yeah.
those things.
See, I didn't know. First of all, I didn't know until recently, like I said, that my dad even had me for the younger part of my life. I just always thought it was my mama. She was like, I had you. I was grinding. Whatever. And so that's how I felt. I was like, oh yeah, my mama been out here being a single mom. It's just me and her, whatever, whatever. And granted, to some extent, that's true because it was just me and her. You know what I'm saying? But the whole truth is what I needed, so that way I wouldn't have gone through my life feeling like just feeling
All right.
feeling some type of way.
So how
Hmm.
do you feel now? You
Like
here? You here? Your grandbaby's here.
your grandbabies
I mean, my
and my
grandbaby's
No,
here.
kids.
right?
Okay. So how do you feel? How do you feel?
um, now, like I'm very grateful. I'm so grateful because being here now at 26, being with my at my dad's house now at 26, seeing how he is with my kids, seeing how he is as a man, like it's dope. Like a part of me is wishes that I had that coming up.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like the rearing, the discipline. Well, that's one thing that I struggle with, and I'm in therapy now, trying to learn how to be disciplined because I struggle with that. But I
Mm.
can my dad being a military man, he's pretty much mastered discipline because I have to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not easy. Um, being in a home that's separated. You know what I'm saying? And then regardless of what the two adults have going on, at the end of the day, if you can get your mind off your feelings, if you can get your mind off of how that person done you wrong or whatever, and forgive and understand that your child, it's not even about your child feelings. Your child's soul is on the line. If you want to be honest, like it hurts. Cause that child gonna go through their life like, why my daddy don't want me? Why my mama not here? What's
Mm.
going on? Why are we doing this by ourselves?
Mm.
Your child got I heard y'all stories, and I'm pretty sure your children have been in moments where they were crying too, trying to figure
Mm.
out like why I can't be with my dad. Like I want to be with him too. I want to experience life with him too. Or why I can't, I wonder why they didn't work out. Why is he not in the house?
Mhm.
You know, so we have those questions and those concerns, and it really does affect us. And I saw somebody say something about counseling on in the comment section, and it's true. I love that the world now is becoming more aware and wanting to do therapy and wanting to do counseling to talk about things. And it's necessary. It is so necessary because you go through life really feeling abandoned, feeling rejected, and you never really talk about it. And you see yourself in a pattern of dating certain type of people, of doing these exact same things, and you're like, well, why do I keep finding myself in these cycles? It's because you haven't gotten to the root of
Mhm.
what you're missing.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, that's. I'm done.
Thank you. I love
I'm
you.
done.
Yes.
You rushing me. I feel like I
No,
need to
No,
say something
no,
else.
no,
No,
no. We got question and answer.
wow.
you
But
got
okay,
grown men crying.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
yes,
Thank you.
of course, of course. It's a pleasure.
Wow.
I love you.
Amen.
Love you too.
Amen. Amen.
Oh
Okay.
man.
All right. So, do we have any question and answer session?
Woo. Before we
Question and
go to
answer
question
session.
or answer, could I say something
Yeah. Go
My
ahead.
quickly? It's
I'm
just
I'm
like,
still listening. Yeah.
um, what's your daughter name again? I want to make sure I don't mess them up.
Alexis.
Alexis.
Alexis. Alexis, thank you for sharing. I just felt your father is really a man of God, and when you were speaking, um, if you watch our past shows, you see we've changed direction because you listen to the leading of God, the Holy Spirit, and that your conversation, your sharing is all of the world need to hear it. It's not about, we're not shaming women, we're not shaming men. We're just saying put the child where the child belongs. Children are innocent, and hurt people. Like my father was not in my life, so I try to be in my son's life because I know how that affected me. It affects me to this day. I'm 40 years old. I didn't even know how to say no
Mm.
because I struggle. I have to be, your dad called a chameleon, try to appease everybody to be loved. So now until I start following God, that I realized, I think one of our shows, like, human beings, we love with, our love is determined on what other people do. But God loves us regardless. And he gives us our children. And most fathers and mothers love their children like that. But sometimes we don't see, we too stuck in our ways that we don't see the kid. And like you said, just seeing your pain Or I can think of my son saying it is what it is. Or I can think about me, what I went through growing up and still going through as a 41-year-old man, still dealing with things from my past. So that trauma lives on. And I just want to tell you, thank you. Your story really moved me because people in this world need to hear that. Let's just get beyond ourselves and put the kids where they belong, to be first, man. That's what we need to do. Forget it. Because like you said, Alexa, it's about that kid's soul. And
Yes.
that's something that just will stay with me forever. It's about that kid's soul. And thank you.
Yes, of course.
Do we have any questions or answers? Any well, Q&A session. Any questions? If so, those of you watching, please, we're ready to answer questions. It's one of the comments I think from A1. It say children and parents need counseling when parents go through a divorce or a separation. I totally agree with that. Anything else?
Yeah, give me a second. My computer's moving a little slow.
Miss Ingram say the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Okay. Since someone read that for me, I ain't got my glasses on.
Brother, I'm
Miss Spears.
experiencing the same with my daughter in St. Louis. I've even offered her mom to move herself and her other daughter here to Florida just to get my daughter here. The time is coming.
Wow.
Wait, who is this? Hey, whoever you are, what part of Florida you in? I'm in Tampa. Let's link up. What is it? Valiant, what was that? Latoya. Okay. Amen. It's about the kids. So I wish my kids' father realized this when our children were much younger. There wouldn't so much repairing for God. What?
There wouldn't be so much repairing for God to do in them.
Okay.
That's my sister right there.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that's my baby sister.
Mm. Yeah,
She's
that
right
that
about
that's
that.
big.
That's deep. Yeah.
That's so important, man.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
And stuff. What was going through your mind in that moment?
What was going through my mind in that moment is when you said that when you get older, you want all your kids to be under the same roof, because what you've done, and I was gonna comment on that. I want to applaud you for the work that you've done, the work that you put in to become better, and allow what you've done is I wrote it down. You've allowed your pain to become your purpose, and
Yes.
you flip the narrative. So instead of continuing the generational curse of being absent, you've taken a stand and said, you know what? My kids won't endure this. It stops with me. This won't ever happen to my kids because you're doing something about it. And I think if more of us would take that stand and say, you know what? I'm not going to allow my children to go through what I experienced. I'm not going to allow my seed to endure this. So I stop the curse. I cut it off. I break it. And too often we use our pain as a crutch.
Mm-hmm.
We use it as an excuse to continue the cycle as opposed to breaking the cycle. So I salute you. I applaud you, Alexis, because more of that needs to happen, because I know that's hard work. To get beyond what you went through, that's
Mm-hmm.
hard work. I'm a counselor, so I know many of my clients, I tell them, you got to be willing to do your work. If you are willing to do your work, you can break the cycle. You
Yeah.
can break it so
Right.
future generations don't have to endure the pain and suffering that you had to endure. So I salute you, young
So
lady.
Thank you so much.
so the
Thank you.
thing that I want to also say is this: um, whether you allow your child to come in at those pivotal points when the parents, because like I said, her mom, she did that she tried to weaponize that, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a couple times she would say, I'm about to send over there with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Right.
like, in my head, I'm like, go ahead then.
Come on, right.
You know what I'm saying? I
Please.
want over here. Send
Yeah.
over here. You know what I'm saying? But she did that just to scare her into obeying. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because she was doing some little stuff, but you know what I mean. Um, and the thing was for me like, why now you want to call and communicate? Every time I talk to her, or every time you call me for her to talk to me, is you want me to discipline. I don't want
Mhm.
every time we do talk that I'm disciplining her. That ain't
Yeah.
no relationship.
Yeah.
And but what I want to say to you, Gabe, is whether you decide if he's in that space and it's not good for him to move in with you, you can still cultivate a healthy relationship with him. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? If that times come and you can try to get with her to see if you can spend more time with her, especially if she's trying to get rid of him. But I would tell you just continue to be consistent, continue to reach out because all those times she thought that she saw something different. See what I'm saying? She saw something different. And when she became of a certain age, we actually started to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And she like, what that? What that? And I'm gonna tell you the one thing that got me when we talked. She's like, she said, I'm so sorry, Dad, that you had to go through all that you went through.
Mm.
Man, boy, cause that whole time, like you gave, I'm crying in the fetal position like a baby. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? I'm talking about I'm just losing it. Like, and my only prayer is, Lord, you know I'm going through all this here to be a part of my daughter's life. And no matter what I gotta do, I'm gonna try to do it. But I was
Mm-hmm.
like, please let her be able to have some type of understanding of what I had to go through to even be at this point. Cause I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't able to be there like I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
because of the barriers. But
Yeah.
I never stopped. You know what I mean? I never stopped trying.
Yeah. I mean,
So yeah, bro.
I bought my first house where I bought it in Chantilly to be close to my son. I mean, I've done everything, and I know I'm gonna give up. I think like I said, even the brunches, the part that hurts is the disrespect, right? So I kind of push past my feeling, and I don't want to. Two wrongs don't make a right, right? So if Gabe calls me, have a game, I will be at the game, right? If he every morning we talk, so I send him scriptures every morning. We do some kind of conversation over the phone, but I think you said it, Markeith. He's at the age where the decision needs to be with him.
Yeah.
But she has still taken that away because of her pain. So they say take accountability, right? The relationship didn't work out. Well, whatever dream she had, it didn't work out. And part of the dream is it was the assumption that I was not going to be where God has put me in life. So that kind of pain carry on, right? So God has blessed me more than she assumed. So that even more anger. But she needs to go do the work with counseling because now she has two other kids, right? And what I want to close with, what most of us human beings we don't realize, and God have shown me, God is a vindicator. Like you and your daughter, that's proof of vindication. I've had things in my life that have happened that God have shown my vindication. And I know he would show my vindication with my relationship with my son. Like you and Alexis are sitting together. Gabe and I would be sitting telling our story together. I know that's going to
Yes, you
happen.
will.
Right. And so he and I shared this bond that is unbreakable because like you said, I was there from the beginning. Even, even when I was in Afghanistan for years, I would talk to him. And what brought me home, he was like, Dad, why? I mean, this broke my heart. It was like a game, and he needed, like, he wanted a father there. And he's like, Dad, why are you not here? And he was like crying. And then that broke my heart. I came home. So all these games, I was there. I even coached his basketball team. And I think he and I talk about it. He was like in third grade and we had our own triangle offense. Like I mean, he's my dude, man. He's Gabriel the second. So smart kid, got straight A's. I thank God for that. He's keeping his head. I'm instilling in him the importance of putting God first, which is the most important thing. And I mean, even to do that, she stopped me from doing that for a while. And now I'm like, I'm his father. You can't tell me what not to do. I would tell him about God all the time because I know it would save him. But Gabe and I, our dream, we both love Chelsea, and I'll end with this. He and I are gonna go to England to watch Chelsea, and I'm hoping it would be next year. That's I'm gonna pray on that.
Okay.
Like next year, his mom
It
will let.
will be.
It's England, London.
It
He
will
and I
be.
do a father-son trip to London to watch our favorite Chelsea. We'll be in the stand, and we'll still be doing the show, and we'll be there. That's why I'm prophetically saying God gonna make that happen. So I'm not giving up. I just feel disrespected, and
I got you.
yeah, that's all.
I got you. And hey, you know the other thing I want to say too though is that thing man, when we start talking, that thing mess around and flipped itself on his head.
Yeah.
Cause I was dealing with not talking to her, you know what I'm saying? She having that perspective of me. And then all of a sudden, she started to feel some resentment because she wasn't told the full story. So for a period of time, although it was a short period of time, she wasn't talking to her mama because of some of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so guess what happened? Her mom started calling me once we asked me about our daughter. You know what I'm saying? And I could have just did the same thing. You know what I mean? But that ain't who I am. And I constantly say, hey, look, you need to make sure you talk to your mama. You need to you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So what you don't want is like you don't want the other side of that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's what's gonna happen when kids become old and they find out exactly you know what I'm saying, the actual truth.
Mhm.
Right.
You want to try to look like you the superhero when all this stuff was going on behind the scenes and he was actually fighting for me or
Mm-hmm.
she was actually fighting for me.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, hey,
I
but yeah,
mean, when Gabe met my wife Nicole, the first thing he told her, I remember when my mommy called the cops on my dad. You know,
that's that.
Wow.
yeah, and
That's a traumatic
yeah. I
situation.
mean, weaponizing, especially calling cops on black fathers when they're just trying to. We need to stop that. The boy in Wisconsin is crippled because of that. No, most people don't talk about that side of the story, but the one that the riot all happened, he went to pick up his kids, and she called the cops on him. That's exactly what happened. I can't remember
I
his
need to
name now.
look that up.
Yeah, the one that had the wire in Wisconsin, I think was doing George Floyd a couple months. Yeah, I would think about his name, but yeah, we don't. The media never talked about that. We don't talk about that, but that's what was going on. He went to pick up his kids. He had baby mom had it. She called the cops, and he was acting up, and they shot him. So we shouldn't call cops on anyone black if they're not causing us harm, especially another black person in America. So that's another discussion. But yeah, I just want to say, like, Alexis brought it home because that's from a kid's perspective, even for all of us, because most of the time we are adults, man, we get so stuck in our ways. And thank you, Marquis, for saying, because I know it will flip. It will be like you and Alexis, where now she will be calling, hey, and I'm gonna do the golly thing. I would tell him, talk to your mom, be respectful for your mom, because that's what she should be doing. I'm not gonna do what she's doing to me now. No, you're gonna respect your mom. You would talk to your mom because that's the godly thing to do. But it does flip because God is a what? He's a vindicator. He would vindicate. That's why he said, vengeance is mine. I've had testimony of God vindicating me, and I know he's not going to stop because I didn't do anything. No matter the
Right.
amount of the child support, I never fought child support. Pay on time. But just to be in the kid's life has been my struggle.
Hey Chancey, what you got, bro? Before we close.
I was just going to say, man, I think one of the things that my daughter's mom was afraid of is that my wife would take her place in my daughter's life, and she was afraid of that. And it really came to me when one day we took her back home on weekend, and when she came back to the house, she told us that she asked her mom, would it be okay if she called my wife mommy too? and she was furious. And her mom called me, like Hayward, why did you, as if we told her to call my wife her mom. It's because the way my wife treated her, that she felt like she got two moms. You know what I mean? Because that's what she was getting over here. You know, yeah, you got the discipline, you got the structure and all that, but you got love too. And that's what I always tell all of my kids. I say, listen, one thing about being in this house, you're gonna get what's different from outside of the house is I call it I call it I call it safety. I call it discipline or love with a safety net. I said that everybody outside this house, you're just a number. But in here, you're gonna have your discipline. You're gonna get chastised. You're gonna get all that. But it's gonna be coupled with love. And I say out there, they don't care that you Mr. Hayward's son. They don't care that you CJ. They don't care that you Zach. They don't care that you Tiaja. All they care is that you're another black man who done messed up. And I'm finna get you. I say, but in here, you get the discipline, but you also get the love. I say, because there's nobody else in this world gonna love you like we do outside of God. So that's the thing that she finally realized as she got older, and that's why our relationship is so good now. But some I just hate that my baby had to grow up and go through all that pain and hell, man. That she could have been avoided. It could have been avoided had we just seen eye to eye on how to made her the priority instead of being in our grown folks' feelings.
Yes, sir. Agreed on that. So we're gonna tell you guys thank you for watching. Next week we're gonna go into David is gonna take the lead, and we're gonna go into the legal aspect, the things that to look for, and how you can actually fight in the court system for your kids. As we already heard, Gabe did the right thing to try to get partial custody, which he did, but then it still didn't work out in his favor because they didn't make her accountable. So at the end of the day, just like they told me that the father ain't got no rights, the mother got all the rights. Even in the court system, it appears that even if you go get that documentation done, they still ain't gonna do that anyway. However, we are still gonna dive into what I think it's called,
The
what is it called,
legalities.
the legalities
Oh, the legitimization.
and legitimizations and all those type things. That's it.
That $10
So
Daddy
that's
bundle.
what we're
girl.
gonna.
That's what I'm talking,
All right.
Alexis. Help daddy out.
All right. Help your
That's
daddy
it.
out. Help your daddy out.
Legitimizations and stuff. So we're gonna go through all that stuff and walk down the legal aspect of all of this. So we're gonna close in prayer real quick, and I'm gonna just let my daughter pray. What's up?
Oh, okay, I just wanted to say something. Because Gabe is obvious, like, that hurt is like it's there. You know what I'm saying? Um, and we can say, pray, take it to God, and sometimes we do that, but it still doesn't stop it from hurting. But what I will say is, whenever you do pray not only for, like I said, the soul of your child, but also the soul of the child's mom, because she may it she may, you know what I'm saying, have her own issues going on, and she could be acting out from different things that in her life that she still doesn't understand. There could also be some jealousy. Parents who have not experienced what their child is able to experience can sometimes be jealous, and it's crazy to even say that, but it's true. So I would encourage you to pray that. And as you pray that and, really wholeheartedly try and let it go, God will begin to bless you, and there will be a peace that you have. And you won't even so much so think about the fact that you don't have